sober, busy living sober, busy living sober. It's episode 409. I keep wanting to say three. It's 409. And I'm so excited because Melissa Josloff is here. And I have to tell you guys, by the way, it's Elizabeth Chance. And if this is your first time here, welcome. If you're coming back for a second, third, fourth, or you constantly listen to me, I want to say thank you for being here. And I hope you enjoyed today's podcast because I'm really excited to talk to Melissa. I met Melissa at my Kabbalah 1 class. She was a mentor. She walked in and I was like, oh my gosh, she's so put together. She's beautiful. She's got a great bags. She's got many great bags. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I recognized her from our Delray Beach farmers market that happens every Saturday. But she also goes to the farmers market in Boca or Jupiter.
Palm Beach Gardens and Parkland.
There you go. And she has putting
Putting me on.
putting me on.
Chocolate avocado pudding.
It's a chocolate avocado pudding, which she developed. She also wrote a book. Everybody, she wrote a book. Here we go. Cheat yourself well. And there's a reason she wrote this book. There's a reason she started this company. And it's not because she was like, oh my gosh, I'm working in corporate America and my life is so amazing. I'm going to do this. It was to help her really save her life in a way that gave her an ability to live again. And her journey is really interesting. And her book, I love. For one, you know what I love about it? For one, is it's quick. It's quick.
Quick. Listen, this was meant to be a pamphlet, that really long pamphlet. That's it. I think that a lot of stuff people read, like you get so bogged down into the details and the science of it that like you sort of can't navigate.
And who can finish a book that's 300 pages long? And you mentioned something in this book about staying focused. And so when you have a huge book that's so big, you're like, I can't even finish it. So this book being short and concise, I love. And I want to talk about, okay, for one,
The
you grew
booklet.
up,
Yeah.
we'll call it a booklet. We're not going to call it
A
a book,
booklet.
even though it looks like a book. It feels
It
like a
looks
book.
like it smells like a book.
But she's going to call it a pamphlet, whatever she wants to call it. We don't care. But it's very informative for you guys out there that have been diagnosed with a inflammatory disease. And I think that I want to go back to how this all transpired, because I think it's really interesting, especially for women that are out there today and people getting diagnoses, because I will be totally transparent here in that I had a diagnosis of psoriatic arthritis.
Oh,
And
okay.
I was like, oh my gosh, I knew I had psoriasis. I have it a little bit on my hands. I went to Mayo, where you went, and Mayo said,
Mhm.
oh, you definitely have
Yeah, Mayo
psoriasis.
seems to know everything nobody else knows.
Exactly. They find it all, right? And then
Yeah.
they give you, and what do? Then they give you these injectables, and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got to take this injectable that makes me feel horrible for the rest of my life. It makes me feel terrible. And it didn't work for me. So I don't take anything.
Okay.
But enough about me. I want to talk about you. So
I don't
you
take
grew,
anything anymore.
I know, I love that. I read that in the
Yeah.
book. But it's so you grew up outside of the city, New York City. And when did you start partying?
Partying. Not till after college, basically.
Really?
I tried drugs in college, but yeah, I was a golden child. I did everything right. I studied. I didn't break the law. I didn't know who I was, but I adhered to all the rules.
You were a good rule follower. And you
Yeah.
and you graduated from Emory
Yes.
and went and worked in New York City and in Los
LA.
Angeles.
I'm sorry.
Worked in Los Angeles and then LA, or LA and then New York.
Yeah.
And then you decided what happened at 21.
I was disillusioned with everything at that at that age. I was very ideal and very, very sheltered. Um, you know, so I thought everything was supposed to be good and happy, and I was supposed to succeed, and there wasn't supposed to be trouble. And um, listen, I was young and naive, but I was working in film and a couple of jobs that went bad, and my boyfriend from college, we were still together, and then he was cheating on me, and that was the first heartbreak.
Mm.
Um, it was a perfect storm. And then we got back together, and he wanted to go skiing for a season. So I threw everything away, and I said, "Let's go skiing. I love you." He broke up on the drive out. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And you ended up staying there.
Well, you know what? I got to town, and I said, "Oh, I go. I can't believe I just moved somewhere I've never been before, and nowhere I wanted to go, even for some guy who I just punched in the face in the middle of Kansas." So yeah. So I said, you know what? I moved here because of him and for him, but I'm not going to leave for or because of him. Um, and that was that. I stayed.
And you loved it.
I loved it because I discovered it was the first time in my life I was free. I wasn't somebody's daughter or somebody's sister. I wasn't who I was defined to be the previous years my life. I was finally out on my own. I had a college degree and I was working in a restaurant and I loved it. My parents were distraught, but I loved it. And it just I took it too far, I guess you could say. I'm getting rained on like crazy, by the way.
Oh my gosh, she's outside because we tried to do this on a computer and it was breaking up. So tell me this. So when you were out there, you ended up having this episode due to, I mean, you would do coke and
Yes.
but never expecting to have, I mean, it
But
was recreational, right?
I was working in bars and restaurants, like I said, waitressing, making great money for what I was doing. And I was living, and this is what they say about Aspen. I live your vacation. I live your vacation. My life is your vacation. And I was meeting wonderful people from all around the world. And it just so happened I was doing cocaine every day.
And then all of a sudden, and you were, I mean, it sounds like, I mean, that's a hard job. Let's be honest. I mean, people might want to glamorize being in Aspen and working at fabulous bars and fabulous restaurants as something fabulously glamorous, but it's hard work, isn't it?
It was fun. It was hard. I felt, you know what? I was doing something valuable. I loved when I worked in a restaurant. I loved it probably more than any job I've had. It's not glamorous. You know what? So what? You're doing something that people need. You're making people happy, like feeding people. How great is that?
Exactly.
And I was good at it. It was fun, and it was great cash for what it was.
But then one morning you got up and in the book, it said you went to bed early and then you also got up kind of early.
I had a headache the night before, so I didn't go out, which was rare. I went out most nights for years and years. I was still in my 20s, but yeah. And I didn't feel well. And my boyfriend was bartending. He was at his job. And I went to sleep. And he came after work. I was sleeping, but he must come in. So when I woke up, he was in bed next to me, and we were in love. It was new. And I was happy and stupid. And I had to go to the bathrooms. I got up to pee. And that was the first step into the second half of my life. Everything changed in an instant. I basically crumbled. I fell as soon as I hit the floor. My legs buckled. And the room started spinning. I mean, it was indescribable. It really was. And I had to pee. I mean, bottom line, I had to pee. So I crawled I crawled to the bathroom, reaching for whatever I needed to grab just to get there. And I hoisted myself onto the toilet and I peed. And then I got back down on the floor and I I crawled back to bed, grabbing whatever I needed to and climbed into bed. And as soon as I laid back down on the pillow, everything was normal again. Nothing was spinning. And my boyfriend was sleeping and I was like, wake up, babe, wake up, babe, and then wake the fuck up. Sorry.
It's okay.
And he had been working until 4 a.m. And he's like, what? And I was like, I can't walk. And he's like, you're fine. Go back to sleep. And I was like, I can't walk. And finally I screamed it and he jumped up and he carried me out of bed and he placed me on the floor and he's like, you're fine. And I crumbled to the ground. And that was before everything really happened. That's the last thing I remember. Anyway, fell into a coma. I was flight for life to Denver. Was in a coma for 2 weeks. Doctors ran 1,000 tests. Everything was inconclusive. Mayo Clinic found cocaine in my system. I woke up, thank God I woke up from the coma and couldn't walk, talk, or use my hands, had no memory. I knew who my family was, short-term memory, I couldn't remember anything. And yeah.
And there you are. Now, had anybody in your family ever had any diagnoses like this?
No, nor did my family know anything that was going on in my life. I mean, we were close in the, hi mom, how are you? Yeah, I'm going to work. Everything's good. I'll talk to you later. And we talked, a couple times a week.
Right.
And they were, but they didn't know the extent of anything. They didn't know anything. Who's being there to tell your parents you're partying? Because it was all innocuous. I was a functioning addict. I wasn't, doing anything nefarious. I wasn't in jail. I wasn't broke. I was getting by.
And
Yeah.
so you come out of the coma and now you're in Denver and you're like, what am I going to do next? And
well, I mean, I wasn't really cognizant enough to think about anything. I was like a happy idiot. I'd go to speech therapy and physical therapy and cognitive therapy, and I'd do what, the doctor told me to do. And it was like, dance, monkey, dance. And I was like, oh, great. It wasn't for probably a couple months after I came out of the coma that I was fully aware really of what happened. They didn't even tell me what happened for the first couple weeks. And when they did, I was, ugh.
oh,
Yeah. But everything, it was lighthearted. I wasn't present. And that's really gives you a good idea of like just how the disparity between the life I was living and the gravity of the situation. I didn't feel the gravity. It didn't seem that serious, but what I was doing was awful. I listened to your one of your posts or one of your videos last night. You're talking about 18 years ago when you were in the darkest place of your life. And not now that I look back, or when I started looking back, I was in the darkest place of my life. There were nights that I would beg God to just to make it stop, to let me wake up, to be done with this. Because as much as it started as a party, the drugs had a hold on me, a really palpable hold on me. Yeah, it was scary. So I can say today it was the best thing that could have happened to me, but it didn't feel that way at the time.
no. And you moved back to New York.
Well, I was flown on a private plane. I was flown to a hospital on a stretcher. I was flown to a rehab hospital in New Jersey, to a traumatic brain injury unit. And there I was continued therapies. eventually got to the point where I could walk. My memory improved, not great, but it improved. I was on the mend. And that's when doctors were like, okay, you're good. See you later. Don't do drugs.
Okay.
And they
And
just,
but you're still feeling like something's not right here.
for years afterwards, that's how I felt. I was released back into society and, left to my own devices, but I wasn't, I wasn't, I wasn't functioning.
And you
Um,
knew something was up, but this therapist, you were kept seeing that your parents wanted you to, but you were like, why are we dropping all this money for me to see this woman? But then she said to you, you need to get a second opinion. I don't think what these doctors
well,
told you was correct.
I saw over 7 years, I saw 9 different neurologists, and they all kept doing MRIs and kept saying, no, you're fine. It was the drugs. Don't do drugs. And then the 10th neurologist said, whoa, 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 you have multiple sclerosis. So the drugs obviously weakened my immune system to the point where the drugs really, really hurt me. More so than hurting me, just like they would hurt anybody else.
And I read a stunning statistic in your book that said more women get MS than men.
They do. They do.
And how many people are undetected like you were for as long as you were?
Well, I think they say that multiple sclerosis is as common as 1 in 4 people. I mean, that's crazy. So I think that a lot of people, yeah, I never knew I had latent multiple sclerosis prior to getting sick. I had no idea.
Until afterwards. And for some reason, because of your warrior self and because you are so, I just love your drive and how you
Apologize
just keep,
for this.
it's fine. And so you keep going, you keep going. So you go and this neurologist says, all right, he hands you what, like the doctors that I saw. So for everybody who's out there, I think I've mentioned this on this podcast before, but was diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis and I had psoriasis. So then I went to Mayo. Mayo says, oh my gosh, you have psoriatic arthritis. And then they said, oh, you need to start taking this
Yeah.
large, one of these large things that you take out and you inject it into yourself every week and you're going to be better, or you might not be,
Or
but
you
we
might
don't
not
really
be,
know. But just take this, and we don't even know what the side effects are, but just do it anyway because we
yeah,
told you to.
yeah,
And
that's basically what happens.
and so you decided I'm not doing this anymore because
Well, I started doing it, and within 2 months, I was walking around like I looked like a giant pincushion. I was shooting myself, giving myself the medicine injectably every day, 7 different rotating spots around the body. So I'm 37 years old. I just got the proper diagnosis. It's like, great, this is great. Finally found out what was going on for all these years. And now I just look like a giant pincushion. Not great. So I hate to say it, but it sort of was vanity a little bit that I was like, no, this is enough. No. And jumped online and just started researching to figure out what was going on and what I could do about it, because what the doctors were telling me to do about it wasn't okay with me.
so that's when you found this doctor in Canada.
Well, that's when I online found the autoimmune diet, which is, easily searchable by any person who jumps online. Autoimmune diet, simple. You don't eat inflammatory foods. So overnight, I was like, no eggs, no beans, no gluten, no dairy, no soy. And I did that like overnight. Went
But
gung ho.
how
Did
many?
that.
But I mean, like if somebody's listening to this and they say they've had the same diagnosis and they see this anti-inflammatory diet and they're like, wait a minute, I can't afford to live and eat these foods that they recommend me eating. Like I just can't afford to go out there and buy the sprouts. I need to buy eggs. What do they eat?
Listen, it's tough, and there is a higher cost involved. But the way you have to reason it to yourself is that, are you going to pay the doctors or the insurance companies, or are you going to buy the food? And then you have to take a leap. because it's scary. Even when you believe that you know better or something is better than Western medicine, it's scary to say, I'm not doing what you tell me to do. But that's what I did. My parents thought I was out of my mind. Nobody agreed with me. And this is before gluten-free, dairy-free. None of this stuff was popular back then. So I was crazy.
So what'd you do? So one day you get up and you say, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to start eating like this. And how'd you go about it? What was like the first day like?
The first day, I threw everything in my kitchen away, and I went to the store. And listen, I was leaning on my parents a lot financially at this time. And I said, Mom, I'm doing this. I'm just going to go buy all this stuff. And I got in trouble after the fact, but I did it. And I stocked the house and just started eating everything I was supposed to eat. This is what I was going to do. I was going to fix myself. 7 years feeling like you're 90 years old, just head in a vice grip, just like horrible. This was going to stop.
And you
So,
got it but you did it. So were your parents in the end like, oh my gosh, look at what you did?
no. It was, oh, well, I guess your disease wasn't that serious. It was mild. You didn't have it that bad.
But you still have a smiling face.
Well,
How'd you find you found, which I think is so important, which is the spiritual component.
yeah.
How did you find Kabbalah?
So this is what my book is about. It's about healing with a multidimensional approach. Wellness is multidimensional. There are many facets. Your diet is one of them. Movement is another one of them. The elements: air, water, fire, wind, the earth, grounding, breathing, sunlight. These are all necessary for healing. But the one thing that I didn't have, and the one thing that is most important in healing, in fact, every other dimension of wellness is based on this one thing, and that's faith. Faith in something, faith in anything. I had zero faith. I was raised Jewish, but I didn't believe in it. It was a tradition thing. It was a family thing. And religion, we'll talk about that in a minute, but I didn't have faith in anything. I didn't have faith in myself. I had no no self-love, no belief in myself, no belief in doctors, no belief in my parents, no belief in people, no belief in boyfriends, none of it.
No, because
So
everybody's
unless
let you
you
down. I mean, doctors let you, the people you're supposed to listen to, being an MD who's at the Mayo Clinic. I mean, I'm saying this in quotes if you're listening to this, not watching it. I mean, they're supposed to be the very best. And they just gave you this
right.
diagnosis. And first, my face is so red, you guys. I just had a dermaplaning. That's why I'm red, by the way. But you went so all these people, and then your mom and dad are like, oh no, you didn't heal your, I mean, that's really hard.
It was hard, you
Really
know?
hard. And not to get angry and be like, F everybody, I'm out. Bye.
Oh, I was angry. I was angry. Trust me. I was awful to be around. My friends and close family will tell you. And I'll agree. I was miserable. I was at war. I was at war with myself. I was at war with everybody. And the faith, when I finally found Kabbalah, I finally found faith, and that's when the true healing began.
And how'd you find it? Because again, being raised Jewish, and I mean, it's when they say that it's not religious, I mean, it's not
It's not
religious.
religious. Kabbalah is a sect of Jewish mysticism. It is esoteric. It was originally taught to just special groups. And it was not in the mid 20th century, it was made available to the masses. It was more mainstream, and it was practicalized. So it wasn't, you have to be devout and study the Torah all day long and bow down and all that stuff. It's like the practicality of spirituality, a business plan for fulfillment in the universe. which, you know, sounds great to me. Um, it's just believing in something, and what, you know, we're taught, you know, this, you learn the light in the vessel. That's all there is in this universe, the light in the vessel. And we are the vessel, which is by nature meant to receive. It is empty, it is dark, and the reason we are here and the nature of the vessel is to be filled with light. And there's the light. The light is God, the light is the creator, the light is fulfillment, happiness, abundance. It's the ego that blocks us from being connected to that light.
So did someone tell you about Kabbalah, or how'd you find out about it?
So my family has, where I'm living, a vacation home, which turned into my main home in Boca Raton. And my little sister, little 47, my little sister was down here probably 15 years ago for a vacation, and she went to get red string to tie on her wrist, which was like, everybody, you know, it was cool then because
Madonna.
Madonna was doing it. So she went to get the string. She went to the center to buy it, and she came home and she called me. I was up in New Jersey. She called me and she's like, Melissa, she's like, next time you're in Boca, you've got to come to the Kabbalah Center. And I was like Madonna Kabbalah? She's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. She's like, there was a man there. He's a rabbi. She goes, but it doesn't matter. He was so cute and he smelled so good. I swear to God. And I said, okay, I'll check it out when I'm there. And again, I'm saying this all pleasantly with a smile, but like, I was an angry, dark person back then. She's like, I think it'll help you, you know? And I was like, whatever. And then I think she was trying to get me to go for, once I moved down here, she was trying to get me to go for 2 years. And I was like, whatever. I'm busy. And finally, she came down here and we went together. And the second I walked into the center, and this is the old center, the one on Palmetto,
Yeah.
the Grand Center, it was a beautiful building. I walked in, and the second I walked in, this wave of energy hit me. I couldn't breathe, and I had to sit down. And it was intense, the energy of the building. And that was it. I went to the first, oh, this is funny. So I went to the first Kabbalah 1. And this is now 7 years ago. I went to Kabbalah 1. I took the course and they invited me to my first spiritual Sunday, which is the Sunday service at Kabbalah. And I went to it. And the Rav, not the Rav, my teacher, whose name is Chaim Solomon, and he's a wonderful man. I'm so grateful for him. He led the service, as he does every Sunday. You should all catch it online. And he's giving a speech, and he says at the very end, I'm not gonna go into what he said before. I can't even remember. But one of the last things he said was, because without love, we all perish. It's all about love. And I was floored because this is a tattoo I got with the guy I was with when I got sick, right after I got sick. And we got this together, and it was supposed to signify our love for each other, you know.
Okay, what does it say? Because we couldn't
But we
read
got
it.
tattoos, the same tattoo in the same spot, and it says, without love, we all perish. It was Chaim's exact words. And I said, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So you start studying Kabbalah, and then when did you design your pudding?
So the business started about 3 months after I started Kabbalah 1.
And how did that happen?
You know what? I don't know how it happened. I don't claim to know. I don't think I have. I don't think it was my decision. I think the universe made it happen.
I love that. I totally believe in that. So 3 months later, you're like, were you playing in the kitchen or something?
Well, no. So the autoimmune diet did me justice when I wanted to, when the doctor put me on medication and I wasn't okay with that. and I went on the autoimmune diet. I was still up in New York, and I said, "That's it, no more. It's too this world up here, this Manhattan world is too. It's not doesn't agree with me. The rat race, it doesn't agree with me." And that's why I decided I'm going to move to Florida. And it's great because I'll find a job when I get there, but for now, I'll stay at my family's vacation home. So I came down here and stayed here and spent a year. And I had been studying nutrition so much from the autoimmune diet that I decided to get certified as a nutritionist because I wanted to help. I started feeling better. I wanted to help people feel better. Because listen, what I'd known my whole life, like growing up in the 80s, like what you're taught, like diet is, it was so wrong. Do cardio, eat fat free, drink Diet Coke. It was all a lie. So I had to learn everything all over again. And I was my own test case, my own experiment. So I studied for a year. I got certified as a nutritionist. And then an old friend from college gave me a job. He was a chiropractor, and he asked me to practice nutrition under him, which legally I could do because he has an MD. He's licensed. So I started teaching, and it was fine for a minute. And I was healing more and more at the same time. That's when I found the scientist. I was healing at the same time. And I was going to work every day, going to the gym every night. And when I got home, I wanted a treat. So the chocolate avocado pudding I found it online. It was a very remedial version of anything delicious. It was brown and it was creamy, and that was enough. It was bitter and gross, but I loved it. Convinced myself of everything. The mind is very powerful. And I had a friend who worked in marketing who came to visit and tried it and said, you should make this. So I started making it for my friends and then for people at the gym, and kind of spiraled. And the doctor I was working for told me to stop telling people to get healthy and start telling them to eat less. That's how they'll lose weight. And I quit. I said, I'm not going to say what I said, expletive. But I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So the company, Cheat Foods, was I could make this product and make people happy, but it was also true health. Because listen, the little fat kid who still lives inside me, I ate Entenmann's cakes and Burger King and Diet Coke and like crap growing up. I loved it. I still love it. But I don't. I would never put that stuff in my body. So I wanted to make the little kid inside me happy. And my mom always made us chocolate pudding when I was little. That was my favorite. So, I was going to recreate that in a way that I could.
And you have.
Yeah.
And you
that's
have.
What to put it.
And now if somebody's out there and they're like, I want some, can you deliver it to them anywhere all over the world?
No, we're working on it. You can go to cheatfoods.com and you can subscribe and sign up. So we have your information to notify you when we launch e-commerce. We're still working on doing that. Right now we're available locally at the Delray Green Market on Saturdays, Palm Beach Gardens Market on Sunday, alternating with the Parkland Market on Sundays every other week.
And you just started having vanilla as well.
Yeah, we're working on the vanilla. Listen, this is a truly healthy treat, and it's delicious. It's really good.
It is. It's delicious. I've had it many times. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. It's the only reason I go to the Green Market besides to give her a hug. And so now here you are. And do you still get checked for MS? Is it gone?
No.
Does it go away? Or
no? Well, the thing is, multiple sclerosis. Once you have it, you have it. So I guess on paper, I might still have it. I might still have lesions on my spine or my brain, whether they're active or not. That's for doctors to diagnose. However, I know how I feel. And I don't always listen. I'm human. There are days when I don't feel great, when something hurts, when I feel a little tired. So food is my medicine. I don't take medicine. I clean up my diet. I clean up my mind now that I know the other dimensions of wellness. But I get deeper into my Kabbalah studies. The, the main thing with my book is that you can heal yourself with diet, your whole self. But your diet is not just the food you put into your mouth, it's anything and everything you feed your mind, body, and soul. We're insane to think that the ideas we have in our heads, the self-limiting beliefs, the podcasts we listen to, the books we read, the friends we hang out with, all of this stuff is feeding us, whether it's negatively or positively. Food is medicine. Food is not just food.
And so if somebody's out there and they just got this diagnosis like you did, and what would you say to them to give them the courage to do what you did? Because it really, I mean, you were so pissed off. You were like, I'm going to do this. I don't give a shit. But for somebody who's out there who's like, wait a minute, I'm so scared. What is my life going to look like? And you didn't go to that fear. It doesn't, at least maybe the fear turned into anger, but you
I was
actually,
angry.
you were angry.
Yeah.
And so you decided to change this whole thing, and you went to the grocery store and you bought all new food, and you got you became spiritual.
Yeah. But listen, it was very isolating. It's not something that I would recommend to anybody. It's a miserable experience. You're alone, you're angry, you're depressed, you're selfish. You're focusing on yourself. You're thinking about everything. You're not involved in life as we know it.
Right.
And that's why I wrote the book, to kind of as a guide, so that people don't have to go through what I went through.
Right.
This is more of a, well, here's the resources, go here to help yourself, instead of going down every path reaching for how you're going to help yourself, because the answers are all inside.
They are.
Yes.
And so now today, like, what do you do if somebody wants to go out for dinner? Can you go to a restaurant, and what do you order?
You know what? I don't go out to restaurants a lot. I love to cook. My family thinks that my family and friends think the spices I use are smelly and the food is a little bland. I don't think so. I don't think so. And I don't drink. And it's funny, you don't drink either, obviously. And it's not because I can drink. I don't have a problem with alcohol. I had a problem with drugs. And it's not a gateway thing, because there's no connection between the two for me. I don't like the taste of alcohol. But I read something today. It said, if you can give up alcohol in a world that makes alcohol the most important thing socially, you can do anything. And I have friends who want to get healthier, and giving up the alcohol is always a hard thing for them.
But
Not
it's
for
the
me,
most
but
important.
it is a huge social component. It is.
It is. But now that, I mean, all these scientists, like, I think his name's Andrew Huberman, who's out at Stanford, and and then Jordan Peterson, Dr. Jordan Peterson from
Yeah.
Canada, they both say the number one thing to do this year is not drink.
Well, think about it. Okay. Turn to your digestive system. As soon the people say you'll get fat from alcohol, that's not true. Okay. What happens is, the second there's alcohol in your system, in your body, your digestive system goes alert, toxin, shut down everything else. Let's get this stuff out of the body. So all your other bodily systems shut down. You stop digesting food, you stop metabolizing food, you stop pulling nutrients from food. It's pushed aside, which is why it turns to fat, because your body's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Your systems are not working as they're supposed to be working, because we have an invader in the body. Your body's alarmed. So that's why alcohol is bad.
I've never heard anybody say that like that. I love that, but that makes total sense.
Simplify it.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
I'm not going to sit here and talk to you about the resveratrol and the red wine, and this is what it does. There's an invader in your home.
Yeah,
that's it.
And your home is going, get it out of here. Get it out
Yeah,
of here
get it out
any
of here.
way I can. Any way I can. And how and you work out and you started working out, even though for a lot of people that get MS, it's hard to work out, right? Even
Well,
though they tell you to. And I remember that your
no, they told
doctor
me,
even said, don't work out. That's what you wrote in the book. You were
well, he
like,
said working out is maybe dangerous for people with multiple sclerosis because you're raising your heart rate and your balance isn't great. For me, I started with kickboxing, and I didn't do anything for 7 years. And then my friend kept saying, "Come to kickboxing with me." And I was living in Jersey City at the time, and she's like, "Oh, it's so much fun." And I was like, "I can't walk straight without looking. If I turn my head, I'll fall down. I'm not going to kickboxing." She eventually got me to go, and on the first day, I must have fallen 12 times. And then after class, I went straight to the bathroom and puked. And after that day, I think I went for every single day, like 7 days a week for the next year. Because as much as I was falling, I was free again. I was free to fall. I was free to anything, but I was moving.
yeah.
I had been so scared and trapped in my body for 7 years that like even just like flailing around felt good.
It's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
it is you're such an inspiration. So for people that are out there, I know you guys know that I'm going to have all the links to get to Melissa and you can reach out to her and you can talk to her and ask her any question you'd like, I would imagine. And it's just the fact that for one, I didn't know that you had MS till I read your book.
Yeah.
And you look like a healthy young woman, which you are today.
Thank you.
And you've done this and you've given people hope and you're giving people a resource
But
that they can use.
I want to let people know. Listen, I'm not saying medicine doesn't have its merits and appropriate uses. Um, I'm not, there was a point I was very angry, but I'm not saying doctors are worthless. I'm not saying anything like that. So if you believe that's Western medicine, then you believe Western medicine. But let's be honest, question everything. Use your brain. The fact is, take responsibility for yourself. The things you do wrong, the power you have to make choices, to learn. We live in a world where information is like at you can access any information you want. But don't just believe the first thing you read. I mean, read everything, question everything, study everything.
Well, and we're living in the year, and I'm going to end with this, which I find so interesting because you mentioned the light from Kabbalah and the
Yeah.
light in the vessel. And even my son, who's an engineer, said to me yesterday, he's like, Mom, did you hear this? The light is going to shine really bright in 2024. We're going to see so many things. And it's such a humongous gift. And what are your thoughts about that?
I think 2024 is an 8 year, which is in numerology, 8 is abundance. And this is the year of abundance. I keep reading that everywhere and hearing about it, whether it's, like your son was reporting or reading about it from, tarot readers or astrologists or spiritual practitioners, numerologists. Everyone will tell you this is an 8 year. It is a year of abundance. And I do believe in this stuff. But having said that, that's just the energy of the year. You need to tap into the energy. And it's things like ego, fear, anger, jealousy that take you away from your true self and leave you disconnected from the energy. So if you want the year to be everything they're saying it to be, or it could possibly be, you have to do the work. You have to do the work on yourself. There's nothing outside of ourselves. We know our world, our external world is just a reflection of our inner world. And anybody who says that's not true, look, it's the 3D. I can touch it, I can taste it, I can see it, I can feel it. It's all a lie. That's all an illusion. This world of the five senses. But this is, we're meant to learn soul growth, and everything I went through I was meant to.
Amazing. You were meant to. And now here you are, and you're here to tell other people that if you do get this diagnosis, it doesn't mean your life's over. Because look at you.
No, it doesn't mean your life's over. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but it's not a death sentence. Listen, there's question everything. Okay, for example, you could be genetically predisposed to have a disease because every woman in your family had breast cancer. But then epigenetics come into question, right? And it's whether or not you're going to genetically express that gene that says you have breast cancer. And epigenetics is lifestyle factors, how you live, the toxins in your life, the medicines you take, again, the ideas you think, the beliefs you tell yourself, the way you live your life, physically, spiritually, mentally. These things are going to predict, or these things are going to decide what shows up in your physical life.
It's amazing. Again, I started this off by saying you're a warrior. You are definitely a warrior. Thank you so much for taking time today to talk to me and to share this with my guests, with my listeners. It's been so informative. Again, everybody out there, this book is amazing. This book, as she calls it a pamphlet, I call it a book because it looks like a book. It smells like a book. It feels like a book. You got to get this book. It's so interesting. Cheat Yourself Well by Melissa Josloff. And I am just, again, the link is going to be in the bio, and we can cure ourselves. And until next time, you guys, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the show, and I will be back next week. Oh no, I'll be back Wednesday. You got me by myself on Wednesday again, everybody. So I'll be back on Wednesday, and until then, keep getting busy. Thanks again for coming on. Sending big hugs and love. Thank you. And until next time, everybody, keep getting busy, living so. Bye.
Stay healthy.